would you feel if you were a harmless Japanese American who came to America and a soldier comes to your house and says that you have within 48 hours to sell your house, store, and pack your belongings? In class, we read about how in the internment camps there were lots of machine guns pointing at the Japanese Americans, and if they walk out into the desert, they would get shot. Also, we watched 2 videos that showed a wonderful perspective of the internment camps and a careless perspective. I think the United States federal government was not correct to detain Japanese Americans during World War II because they were loyal to America, treated poorly before internment camps, and the government knew they were wrong. The government was wrong because Japanese Americans were loyal to America. The Japanese Americans loved America. December 7th, 1941, when Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, a Nazi's father was in his little office at home, crying and saying, "Why did they do it? Why? Nazi, people who are born in America but parents are born in Japan." 1,600 Japanese Americans joined the U.S. Army. The Nazi regiment fighting in Europe won commendations than other regiments in the whole U.S. Army. Also, the Nazis answered questions so they can decide if they were loyal or disloyal. 100% of the Japanese Americans were loyal to America. The Japanese being loyal proved that the government was wrong because it shows that the Japanese Americans went and helped other countries destroy America. Another reason the government was wrong is because the Japanese were treated poorly before the internment camps. The Japanese Americans were being discriminated by people who didn't like them. A Nazi was waiting in the department store for a clerk to help, and other people came in after them and they got waited on first. The government was being cruel to the Nazis. There was a law preventing Japanese immigrants from becoming citizens. Nazis faced harsh lives in America. They were not allowed to enter shops and were limited on the jobs available to them. Signs that said "no jobs allowed" were displayed in front of stores, prohibiting their entry. This shows the government is wrong because what's the point of putting them in internment camps when they're already being treated harshly? Finally, the government was wrong and they knew they were wrong. The internment camps were shut down. An act passed in 1924 had put an end to Japanese immigrants to the United States. A law passed by government as an apology. Congress passed and President Reagan signed legislation which apologized to the people in internment camps. They gave money to the Japanese Americans. They gave $20,000 to each surviving person. This shows that the government was wrong because they knew themselves that they were treating the Japanese Americans wrong. However, pros say that the government was right because Japan attacked America's naval base in Pearl Harbor. They're wrong because even if Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, American bombed Japan, which caused 90,000 through 116,000 people to die in Hiroshima and 60,000 through 8,000 in Nagasaki. They will say that the government was right because there was rumors that the Japanese American fishermen were sending signals to Japanese planes. They were wrong because what we read in class said there was no evidence. They also would say that the government was right because the Holocaust was worse. They're wrong because the Holocaust was just like the internment. In conclusion, the Japanese Americans had a rough life in America and spent years in jail. While they were in jail, they starved and many died because of that. How would you feel if you were in the same situation? I think the United States federal government was not correct to detain Japanese Americans during World War II because Japanese Americans were loyal to America, treated poorly before internment camps, and the government knew they were wrong.
Thank you.